Work! Right to work! Shame on you!
Not before you get in there and get your ass whooped. Learn by failure, I always say.
He might have some advice, but you got to at least try to fight Measurehead first. Return if you fail.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. What's on your mind? Ah, man. Me and narcotics go way back. Had some good times surfing the psychic waves of my own consciousness, you know? But those days are behind me. There are other addictions in my life now. Why the inquiry, my man?
We have a credible lead, sir. Someone on this roundabout is waiting for a bulk shipment from the harbor to load it on their lorry and drive it to Jamrock.
Not me, man. No way. I don't need any trouble. Shit's bad enough anyway. This jam's got folks up in arms, and I'm afraid it's headed toward a conflagration. Look, man, I try to stay away from the criminal underbelly of Revachol. I'm a guest here. You really need to find another man to probe with those questions. Wondering, man. How can I help you? Sorry. Busy surveying the situation. I'm sure you'll figure something out. You guys have all sorts of gadgets these days. Wiretapping, telescopic batons, futuristic circuit bending to infiltrate harbor machinery. Maybe you could even knock that Kowalczyk crane over using some remote controls. Or calling in tactical air support. You guys have air support, right? I get it. Hush hush about the secret technology. Alright, I may have some advice for you on how to deal with Jean-Luc there, out of solidarity to the RCM. It's low in technology, however. First, don't fight him, obviously. Second, get him to share his theory by being subordinate. Admit your lack of expertise. Basically grovel. That's how I do it. You're welcome.
Maybe that would work. We'll have to see.
Descent has only worsened since I last saw you. You have really let yourself go.
Ask what kind of races there are first. Classification is core to this stuff.
Do you?
There are three categories of race. Type A, the heroic races. Type B, the servile races. and the vile CF race cauldron of pederasty. Which one do you need education? Those are the Simonese, the Areopagite, and the Occidentals, excluding the Maun, of course. The Maun are riddled with eczema to the point where they find it impossible to smile. They are all lactose intolerant, a common result of inbreeding. A receding genetic pool has led the Maun on reprehensible street parades in Maun cities like Stadskanal and Vredefort, wearing wooden clogs on their feet and little green tassels on their hats. You know them by the names of their nation-states: the Oranese, the Gotwaldians, and the Königsteiners. My people simply call them Maun. The Maun are proof that you can have too much Occidental racial purity and tassel-centered culture. Inbreeding has led to a lactose-intolerant subrace whom no one can take seriously.
Colorful tassels are, let's be honest, not a good sartorial choice for this century. You might want to avoid wooden clogs too.
The Vespertines and Messenians of Vesper and Messina, the ancient Meteorans of Meteo by the golden Pisantic Sea, the Suren of Sur-la-Clé, and even the North Königsteiners, all have Type A race propensities. The other large mondial civilizations, the Mesk, are low and oleaginous to count as a heroic race. True, they are violent and expansionist, but they have a glandular problem. Overproduction of sebum. Sebum is leaking into their brains, making them listen to El Mariachi music and eat toxic minced meat-based food, which in turn only produces more sebum. As proven by the Maun and the Mesk, Occidental Type A is in retrograde. The Simonese and the Areopagite are on the ascent. The indigenous people of this, the Insulindian archipelago. The Simonese inhabit the southern islands. I am Simonese, from the stock of Ulmruir on Ile de Fantôme. The Areopagites are sleek, long-headed. Simonese are powerful, mesomorphic. The former is an immutable progenitor, unchanged since the Super Isola of Pericarnassus. Ancient brains rest in their slender skulls. The latter is perfected and adapting. Together they form the Simeno-Areopagite or Simeopagite superrace. That is all. There are no more Type A races in the world. Type B are the unheroic races. Amorphous, non-competitive. To an untrained eye, the Koiko appear white and pinkish, like a ham sandwich. But look into their eyes and you will see. They are of an indistinct, muddy color, and so is their skin. Pinkness is a racial quality that has to be earned through centuries of advanced ballistic warfare and cultural domination. The Koiko, the countless micro-Revacholians, halfway between Type A and the racial called...
Is it 82,000 years that we've been recording history? You have very little idea of what is happening. But that seems a little off.
The revolution came to Ravachol from Grad, in Zarath written potato carts. It is literally the revolution is fatal familial insomnia. A hereditary prion condition passed from the Koiko to the Occidentals. But enough of type mediocrity. Tips CF are a museum of failed chimeric experiments and tragic maladaptations. They are tortured creatures waiting to be put to sleep. Your morbid interest in them worries me. Lesser races like the mosquito, a grotesque mixture of a masked woman and a Seminese man. Only possible if the mother is masked and the father Seminese. The other way around, they fail to produce of the mosquito is born sterile, like a donkey. All they have left is to ride customized motor carriages with hydraulic suspension, listening to aggressive El Mariachi music. Then there is the Simino Koiki Chimera. Are you sure you wish to know of the Simino Koiki Chimera? It is not an aesthetic site. The Koiko, as you know, are very servile, especially when they meet the rich man. Racial scientists have toyed with the idea of crossing the Seminese with the Koiko to produce a super worker of Seminese strength, and this will never happen. The Seminese and the Koiko may have similar interbreeding problems as the mosquito. We will never know precisely. No Seminese man could maintain an erection in the suffocating potato stench of a Koiko woman, or Koika. But enough. It is cruel to entertain ourselves with the deformities of Type F. Were there any able-bodied races you needed education on? You understand nothing. To solve the great race enigma, you have to first ask yourself, what is the race enigma? You have not even worded the mystery, let alone solved it. You need to internalize what you have heard here today, then return to me. This clarity does not come instantly. Not possibly imagine what else we have to discuss, Tibere Vasholian. Your love for disco music and venereal disease?
What's this? We're getting reports of normal, reasonable, temperate, political opinions somewhere in Martinez. The air suddenly feels calmer, more transparent in a strangely tender way. Perhaps it's the hangover. Perhaps it's a temporary surge of serotonin. But something tells you, it's time to become a citizen of the Kingdom of Conscience. It is not a place. It is a moment in time that can only arise in the right circumstances. In all of human history, it's only been achieved a handful of times. Incrementally. Yawn, you'd get there faster with a little speed. History's greatest catastrophes have been brought about by people trying to make the world a better place. That's the genius of Dolores Day. She recognized that progress is meaningless if its gains are lost because of instability. Real, lasting change can only come about gradually, increment by increment. The kingdom is difficult to comprehend, and even more difficult partly because humanity will need to discard many of the categories that define and limit it today. The kingdom of conscience is post-capitalist, post-national. It's also post-industrial, post-ideological, and even post-sexual. Slow down, Mr. Reasonable. Did you miss the part about compromising and taking things slow? That's right. Remember, real democracy is just around the corner for Revachol. When that real democracy kicks in, a long time from now, we are all going to be so much happier.
Something odd. Come to take drugs? They're shit, man. I don't let anything pollute my body. You know where that shit comes from? Sarah Miriza, Safre, Ilmara. They take the money from our local junkies here and then use it to outcompete us in the manufacturing sector. They know they can't beat us in a fair fight. So they have to get us to weaken ourselves somehow. It's racial sabotage, racial economic sabotage.
He eyes you wearily, unsure how to respond. This goes on.
I don't know shit. And if I did, I wouldn't tell you. What do you think? I can't leave the lorry unguarded. Stuff's been getting looted lately. It's those little kips sneaking around at night. If they touch my stuff, the bosses will be on my ass like ass cancer.
There was a bunch of spilled boxes in the back of a big lorry nearby.
Yeah, I knew that guy. He was an honest driver who loved this country. We were having a good debate about genetics at the Wheeling in Rags when some Kip boys smashed his lock and took damn near everything. Lost his fucking job over it. Since he left, I haven't had anyone to talk to. It's a fucking travesty is what it is. Isn't it obvious? Fucking Sealang, that beady-eyed South Samaran. His little side business is a scam. I wouldn't be surprised if he was peddling drugs as well. He's a Samaran guy who likes to pretend he's some kind of businessman. Really, he's just selling his employer stuff. Stuff he stole after he broke the seals on his humanox lorry. Just follow the smell. It smells like apricot and oil when you're nearby.
Yes. What?
Looks like I offended your partner there. Too bad. Sea Lang's usually a little bit south of here, near the canal. You can't miss him. Just watch. His tribe are natural liars. It's in their blood. He's your man, all right? 100.
I wouldn't be so sure about it. Not until we've heard what Sea Lang himself has to say.
Guess so.
You see a Samaran street vendor surround motley assemblage of goods. When he realizes you're looking at it, the name Sileng is embroidered over his breast.
Happy shopping, officer! Everything's cool here. Everything's cool. The goods are cool, the customers are cool, the place is cool. And one more thing.
From out on the bay, a cool wind gathers. It sweeps into the city, tugging at the textiles hanging around the stand. Some distance away, the sound of a tin can clattering across the street can be heard.
You're very cool. Bang, 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 bang!
You feel a twitch in your index fingers. There's a finger shootout brewing.
Don't shoot, officer! Have we got an arrest here or just a shakedown? Good one, officer! Ha! You're a funny guy! Now what can I do for you? Then fire away, officer! Me? It's a boring story, officer. Who cares about the past? I'm all business now. All Revachol. Very cool. I like your style, officer. Drugs? I don't go in for that, officer. Drugs ruin lives. Unless you're into drugs, of course. In which case, drugs are excellent. Mwah! Tasty, tasty drugs. That's so cool! You investigating the local drug trade like some cool narc? But I am not a lorry driver. I am just a street vendor. I don't know anything about that. Who said that? It's the fat racist, right? I bet it's him. He has an agenda against me because I'm an immigrant who works harder than he does. He's a hater.
So you admit you're a lorry driver?
No, I just said I work harder, and he's an asshole.
Realizing he can't get out of it. Smart man.
Okay, maybe I'm a lorry driver too. A little. But that's not the most important thing about me. That's my day job. This is my dream. No, I just forgot. It's such a small part of my life. It's in the rear view mirror now. I'm climbing out of that hole. Nothing. I told you. I'm not a dumb guy. I don't get involved with...
And what crowd is that?
Crowd. You know, the...
There's more here. He's afraid of this crowd. Whoever they are. More than he is of the racist lorry man.
Look, there's bad people doing bad things here. That's all I know. Please don't get me into this mess. I've spent 15 years working my way up. It's a she, okay? The other drivers call her the lady driver. You're better off staying away from her. The way they talk about her, she's no lady. All of them. I don't know. I told you all I know. Are we cool now? I really want us to be cool now.
Who exactly is talking about this lady driver of yours? The racist or the other one with the tattoos?
All of them. Even the ones who've left. I don't hang out with them. I don't remember who has tattoos. I don't know. Maybe. If she is, I haven't gone near her. I don't get involved. I told you. All right. I scored. Let's cap this off with a purchase. You can walk away from here with funky sunglasses, detectives. Both of you. You deserve it.
No need to dress this one up. Just tell him what you want.
Oh, okay. But why, officer? Ah, yes. Money is very important.
Are you trying to ask for a bribe? If so, you're not doing a very good job.
Sorry, detective.
Now it's turning into a kind of a snow limbo, man. I don't want to talk about that. Man, I was hoping it isn't going to be her. All I can say is, she isn't around here anymore. She isn't some evil drug trafficker. And I don't know where she is. A youngish woman. Gruff, but in a cool way.
What color hair?
Blue and violet. Dyed. It was violet when she got here. Blue before she went.
Then she may have dyed it again.
A friend? An acquaintance? I don't know. She was the only person in this damn jam I could talk to. She's someone I don't want to rat out to the law, okay? I didn't, man. I told you I was hoping it's not her. That she wouldn't be mixed up in it.
He still is. Hoping. It's just wishful thinking on his part. Not trickery.
Thank God I don't know. People here call her the lady driver. She kept her name a secret. From me, too. Now I see why. Damn, I don't want to... Please just let it go. Whatever she did, it can't be that bad. She's not a bad person. I know that much.
We can't just let it go. It's part of a
That's how it always is with you, isn't it? All part of the investigation. The girl's troubled. If you hunt her down, she may not survive it. I can't have that on my conscience.
It won't come to that. We won't pursue her on this. This is information only.
I don't believe you. She's got the darkness in her. That young person's darkness when you think it's all over. And you're looking for a way out.
She shared this with you?
Yes, which is why I don't want to snitch on her. I heard the rumors. I saw the other drivers looking at me strange when we talked. And she told me, too, that she's had a violent life. But I wasn't afraid of her. More like for her.
Did this violent life include drug trafficking?
Well, it looks like it did now. But we didn't talk about that. We talked about life, you know? She talked about her mind. The way it worked. The trouble it was giving her.
The pain it was causing her.
Fuck, man. Go grill someone else with these questions, okay? There are plenty of drivers here who couldn't stand her, or were afraid of her. They'd be more than happy to rat her out.
He's right. There are other options. The raceman, for one. Push Tommy, and it will break his heart. And his spirit. Don't expect you to be pals. Now is not the time to focus on feelings. You need that info, son. It's right here. The answer is right here. You just need to ask him. Come on, do it.
Thank you, friend. Wow, this makes me feel like I should pick up smoking again. Would help with my rhymes, too.
Guillaume Le Million. Bad news. Guillaume Le Million did not become a cop. In 1938, he went on a tour to the Sinyao province in Safre, where he died of autoerotic asphyxiation. His body was found hanging from a decorative dragon tree in his junior suite, amid drug paraphernalia, unwholesome objects, and the Sylvia Trainer single, Wonderland, skipping in the background. And yes, you can take this as a metaphor for Revachol in the 30s, and also as a warning.
Looking for something, Hunt? Come to tell me to fuck off again? I don't know what you're talking about. He did something. He stole his employer's goods and another lorryman's job. You should be thankful for the tip. Listen up, fuckwits. You don't scare me. You cops don't run Revachol West. You don't run Martinez. You don't run anything.
No. He means la puta madre.
Yeah, him.
Then I presume you are familiar with his peonies.
Yeah, they're his little bitches. He's got them all over the unions.
Not just the unions. He has peonies everywhere. Some say he even has them in the RCM. Dirty fucking peonies who do anything for him. Multi-ethnic drug addicts.
You're not peonies. You wouldn't be investigating a drug thing if you were.
No, of course not. We are not peonies. But if we were, and one of Madre's drivers were to be stealing from him, then it's a good peonist job to find out who that is. It's not a hard job. It won't take a long time. It won't make Padre Madre angry. But a stupid fucking racist is standing in the way, protecting this fucking thief.
I'm not scared of you or the mob. I'm under the protection of the Lorrymen and Carters Guild.
You've seen the corpse in the yard, yes? You took a peek. I know you did. Does it look like his friends protected him?
Nah, you wouldn't just leave him out there if you...
The lieutenant turns and gives you a barely perceptible nod. Be careful. This man's still got some fight in him, by the looks of it. It won't be easy to break him. Men like this only respect two things: strength and fear. Time to turn up the volume.
Fuck you, I told you. I'm not gonna...
There. His voice grows smaller as yours.
Look, fuck you, man. It's some lorry down there. Green, banged up thing. I don't fucking know who she is.
When did she go away?
I don't know. I don't even know her name. She just rolls with the fleet and acts like a big shot. Some dyke, probably. I haven't even seen her for days. Past the monument. Down there. The Green Temple. Now, leave me the fuck alone, okay?
A small temple by the monument. Green. Let's get into that.
Looks like you got his adrenaline up, too. This green found, A to Z, contemporaire, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's...
This must be the one he told us about. Unless he was lying.
The glass on the side windows is tinted and covered with dust. You can barely make out the shape of the seat and two steering levers.
Use the pry bar to smash the window. Open it from the inside. This has been hard enough. No need to make it any harder.
This green found, A to Z, contemporaire, is parked in the shadow of the ruins looming overhead. It's seen better days. With a firm grip, you raise the pry bar, a glint of light catching on the tip. Call down the hammer of truth and justice. Release your secrets, lorry cabin. The window shatters and droplets of glass fly everywhere, shattering over the lorry floor and...
Subtle.
The smell of cigarettes and perfume welcomes you. The cabin inside is plastered with old movie posters. Actresses smile from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. So these are movie posters featuring starlets from long-forgotten films from the 20s, the teens, even the 90s of the last century. One of them particularly catches your eye. A centerfold of an ingenue attached right above the back seat. There's definitely perfume in the air. It's spicy, with a hint of amberette, wafting through the bitter air of the cabin. The actress is draped in a sheath dress, one of her shoulders bared. The faded remains of an autograph run across the poster. She's looking past the camera. Wait, doesn't she resemble someone you know? But you can't put your finger on whom exactly. The remnants of a sweet juniper-scented perfume, probably Grenade No. 5. The actresses and the rear actor all smile you a warm goodbye. A radio transmitter is attached to the dashboard and a toolbox sits under the driver's seat. Looks like the frequency dial is absent. It requires a key to work, but the key has been removed, likely by the missing lady driver.
Strange. There are so many radio stations saved here. Must be over 100 at least.
It has to be an advanced model to fit so many frequencies next to each other without blending them together.
Doesn't look like it. It's completely inoperable without a dial key.
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes, some dead actresses, and a rusty old toolbox. A metallic drawer slides out from the seat. It's empty, except for a folded newspaper. It's an issue of Périphérique from last Wednesday. A piece of paper falls out from its pages. It looks like an article ripped out from a radio enthusiast magazine. Complex mathematical equations explain the basics of something called the Ulan frequency system. These formulas look oddly painful. Maybe it's the hangover, but they give you a headache.
The Ulan frequency system? I've never heard of that before. I know of FM, AM, UKV, but...
The pull-out toolbox slides back into its nest. The rest is as it was. Radio, poster. You wedge yourself under the steering wheel to get a better look. Seems like the few tools lying around here, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a rusty wrench, have been casually thrown there by the disorganized driver. But one odd detail does catch your eye. A piece of sandpaper has been glued to the throttle. Sandpaper adds extra grip.
Sandpaper? A novel technique?
The movie stars are still smiling from the walls. There's a radio transmitter in the front and a pull-out toolbox tucked under the driver's seat. Looks like the frequency...
Strange.
It has to be an advanced model to fit so many...
For contacting an entire fleet of lorrymen, for example. Looks like we are dealing with an impressive organizational tool.
A 20-kilometer radius at least. Perhaps extended by an attachable antenna that's not here right now.
No, that's on 78.9. What? I happen to have committed the frequency to memory. I have no problem admitting that.
The smell of 1,000 cigarettes enclosed the rusty old lorry.
Great. I think we got everything. A word, detective? Before we return to Joyce? All right, we've finished here. Let's quickly debrief and go over what we found, so we don't do it in front of the company rep. Honestly, I'm quite worried by what we've seen so far. The evidence seems to point to a rather extensive and well-organized operation. I'm especially intrigued by that radio transmitter, particularly the sheer number of stations it can connect. Looks like this alleged drug trade casts a wide net. I'm not sure what the ULAN frequencies are all about, but they may hold some significance. Perhaps it's a better way to connect between fleets while letting frequency bleed, or maybe it's used to tap into RCM networks.
Listening in on your calls between you and your station, a worrying prospect.
As elegant as they are, I don't think they are relevant to the drug trade.
Don't be fooled. Desire always plays a role.
Yes, well... We didn't find anything conclusive linking them to the smuggling operation. But somehow, I doubt that Everard Clare would be oblivious to something like this happening right under his nose. My suggestion is, we use it against the Union in any way we can, to our own ends. It's a slippery eel, but we just...
In short, this is a future angle. Possibly a good one.
We should return to the murder case, see what Joyce tells us about the lynching. When we are done for the day, I call my station and suggest our narcotics department look into it. There are more than enough grounds to start an official investigation, sometime later when we are done here. We do not want to get caught in that. The fact that one hasn't started already gives me pause. An investigation, I mean. Especially if the Madrid grouping is involved, and I can't imagine they aren't. It's certainly worrisome. All the same, I don't like the idea of internal affairs descending on the matter. That won't help anyone either. Debrief over. After you.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? Yes, my eyes on the harbour have sent word to that effect. What have you discovered? It doesn't really matter, and I do apologize for the surveillance. Wild Pines can't afford to be blind at a time like in any case. It's a relief to know someone has looked into it. If I may ask, will there be an official investigation? I assume you discovered there is an operation.
If there is an investigation, it will be part of an ongoing operation, subject to confidentiality. I'm sure you understand.
Of course, detectives. In any case, you've held up your end of our arrangement. I trust you with the rest. Now it's my turn. I wouldn't normally break protocol like this, but the situation demands it. If you don't solve this murder, I'm afraid we may have a bloodbath on our hands.
The words bloodbath sound cold in her mouth. They taste of iron and strawberries.
Yes. I'm afraid this strike may descend into a small-scale civil war, with possible consequences for all of Rivershoal West.
Since you are sharing, man, this is also the RCM's worst-case scenario.
Then we're on the same page, as grim as it may be. I have an indirect role to play, I'm sad to say. My employer experienced a momentary lapse of faith in me. In that moment, they elected to deploy a private... They called it my security detail. They were dispatched after I relayed the Union's initial offer.
Every worker...
A member of the board. I tried to convince my employer it was simply a piece of rhetoric, or a joke. They did not appreciate the humor. Absolutely not. These mercenaries are muscle, pure and simple. They are meant to intimidate the Union into surrender.
Who are they, exactly?
Crenel, an Oranese military company. As far as I know, 3 arrived in Martinez. They report to me sporadically, but they do not answer to me. To be frank, they wear ceramic armor, have semi-automatic weapons and years of combat experience. They also have trauma and stressor disorder, and no idea how to conduct themselves in an urban civilian environment.
So, what happened?
The story is, one of them, the Colonel, I don't know his real name, sexually assaulted a local woman while he was drunk and separated from his unit. This allowed some of the more militant Union members to subdue him. He was taken out behind the whirling in rags and lynched last Sunday night. Nothing. Mr. Clare refuses to let me into the harbour. I have not been able to discuss this matter with anyone there. The remaining 2 Crenel contractors carry out their orders, for now. It's a smokescreen. In secret, they are conducting an independent military tribunal into the lynching. Once this investigation is concluded, executions will follow.
What is the nature of this so-called investigation?
Whether to execute one, some, or all of the Union militants.
It'll be all of them. The decision is already made.
Surely you're joking. These people are killers. My only hope is that yours provides a single, concrete suspect before they indiscriminately pick theirs. Simply put, if you don't pin this on someone good and do it fast, they will identify and execute everyone present at the lynching. This in turn will force the Union to respond.
The débardeurs have over 2,000 men. It will be 1,000 to 1.
Have you ever seen a Hornet invade a beehive, Lieutenant? It's not pretty. These men work in tandem using semi- and fully automatic firearms. Their armor is virtually impenetrable to muzzle-loaded weapons, even yours. Most Union workers don't have guns at all.
The muzzle loaders need to be reloaded after every 1 or 2 shots. The automatics every 1 or 2 minutes.
As I said, a bloodbath. It doesn't have to be like this. Nameless, badgeless officer of the citizens' militia. One single, concrete suspect delivered into civil court. A good one, and I may be able to defuse this situation. Or he didn't. This is information passed on to me from some teenagers loitering around the canal. I cannot testify by it. That the man was killed because he assaulted a local woman. I've asked around a bit. This seems to be the accepted story around Martinez.
The lieutenant consults his notebook, his eyebrows knitted in concentration.
Odd. We haven't heard any reports about an assault in connection with the lynching. Where did it take place? And when?
Last Sunday night, at the Whirling in Rags, the hostel by the gates. Supposedly, the colonel was drunk, maybe on narcotics too. Either way, he's alleged to have sexually assaulted a woman. Sometime later, a group of dock workers got their hands on him. That's a good question, officer. I don't have the slightest idea. As I said, it's a rumor. About a rumor. In any case, it's what the colonel's remaining colleagues believe. They've gone to ground, as it were. I don't recommend seeking them out. For one, they're almost certainly armed to the teeth. They don't have the same respect for the Revachol citizens' militia as I do. To put it bluntly, they think you're vigilantes. Ghetto savages. It will not be a fruitful meeting. You're likely to run into them eventually. When that happens, I'll be in a better position to mediate if I don't appear involved.
One is obviously the scab leader at the harbor gates. The one chanting the idiotic slogans. He's barely maintaining his disguise. The other has a vantage point in a building south of the roundabout. They were keeping tabs on you while you were canvassing the lorry drivers.
That may be so. I still hope you heed my advice. There's no need to kick the hornet's nest.
For all your talk of averting this catastrophe, the situation at the gate is a powder keg. Does this not bother you?
Of course it bothers me, Lieutenant. But my hands are tied. How would my employer react if it appeared I were intervening on behalf of the Union?
Your concern may be appearances. Ours is keeping the peace.
That would afford a good vantage point. In any case, it's practically inaccessible.
Where is your radio for contacting them, if I may ask? Do you have an earpiece?
Heavens no. I'm not an undercover agent. There's a short wave at the ship's wheel. I hope I can answer it better. Until the executions start? Truthfully, I don't know. It depends on their progress identifying the members of the lynch mob, and their impatience.
They don't report their progress to you?
Not on this matter. I'm afraid they consider this a personal initiative. It's a matter of days, not weeks. If you mean did I see him alive? Yes, Lely. His service name, a nom de guerre, most likely. He wouldn't divulge his full name. Only one of them did. A bad sign if there ever was one. One is a man, Corty, they call him, a nickname as well. The other a woman, Phyllis DePaul. Corty is the gunner, I believe. DePaul is a radio operator.
What would you say was his eye color, the deceased?
She closes her eyes, trying to picture the man's face. Then
I can't remember.
That's all right, man. Anything else? Nationality? What would you say was his age?
He was 40. Or 50. It's hard to say which. He had a combat injury on his lower jaw. It made it difficult to estimate his age.
What else? Nationality?
He was, Occidental, I think. Light brown hair, a mixed accent, Oranese, or Messinian, maybe. His injury gave him an accent. In a way, it was humanizing. He had to learn to speak through it. Through the injury. That's all I know, I guess.
must be hard to force your face to move in a new fashion. If you continue like this, you'll have an aneurysm. Then you'll have to.
Not much. Their public resume is relatively good. They boast a long list of clients. Saint-Baptiste, Welchman Lorenz, Eintracht,
Meaning they're used to operating in war.
Yes. All the good conflict corridors. Supramundi, Yesut, the Seminese Islands. Countries that don't have a good record reporting atrocious military conduct on their soil. Sadly, no. Before this happened, I had little interest in them. Now that I do, I don't have the You still have access to the ICP's database. You could run a better background check than I ever could. It may take some time, though.
Do you know a lot about the inner workings of the RCM and the ICP?
In my line of work, it pays to do your research. I was prepared to deal with the RCM. I did not think I'd be dealing with a group like Crenel. I have. And they will. However, these orders take time to reach what is basically a rogue unit out in the field here. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask. More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead, ask me anything. A bird? A Svenicid? Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea. Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games. Ah! This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislaine, 33A, or 2. A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a sort.
Wonderful. The girl in the old lady rags. Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture. Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture. I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead. All right. What next? What I am not is a basic term of reality. These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late. For the big time.
The smile of a predator. No doubt what she's got in mind.
The revolution. It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle. Why, of course. We're talking Duke out Central. Full swing intraspecies warfare. No, I would say the apes were neutral. I don't know about that. They are what they are. Who knows? Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything... It's a neurological disorder caused by a lack of vitamin B in the brain. Symptoms include a retrograde amnesia. It's quite serious. You should get yourself checked out.
She conveys it in short, cold bursts, trying not to invest too deeply in the condition of this doomed detective.
Well, it's either bariatric surgery or long-term alcohol use.
She nods slowly. What this boils down to is, this reality thing is stupid. Blow this joint, grab a bottle, and drain that shit right down your throat. She stares at you, head tilted to the side, with a slightly concerned look on her face. It remains a mystery what you mean by this something close. A strange coldness comes over you as you look at the world. The waves sway the sloop. It's on the tip of your tongue, a doubt of sorts, already in your head. But it's not fully formed yet. You have to wait and return to this later, once the jamais vu thought is complete.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know.
We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. We can pick up where we left off tomorrow morning.
Can I help you?
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then...
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
Oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easy to simply quit. Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit, below it all.
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes. Yes, it's been a long and eventful day. Well, we didn't even look at the body. And there's still much to do at the crime scene too. We didn't search it thoroughly enough.
He would have put all of this more harshly, but he doesn't want you to feel completely discouraged. Probably because he's afraid that you'll just give up and keep drinking.
I look forward to that. As for the interviews, we weren't able to find the union leader, Everard Clare, much less interview him. So that's on the to-do list for tomorrow. We interviewed Joyce Messier, the Wild Pines rep, and learned a lot. None of it very good news for us, or Martinez, but... Above all, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
Thank you for the compliment. We could manage it even in wooden clogs. There are uncanny running reservoirs in this body. God knows why.
They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule. Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM. The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Revachol. We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station cold sleep. It prevents confusion and overcrowding. You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up. As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power. You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best. We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them. Yes, the international community's mission in Revachol, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM. Silence. A great comment to such a conundrum. The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed. They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world. What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats. A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
For you, she is something painful, though it's hard to say why.
Do you? No, we are stooges of the world's biggest bourgeois organization, protecting the people of Revachol. That's the hand we were dealt. Without the MI, we would be common vigilantes. Sadly, it is what we already are to the people of Martinez, most of them at least, especially the Union. Vigilantes. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging.
The lights of the orphan district are reflected in his glasses, the red and golden orbs of the motorway sliding like pearls on a string from east to west as Revachol commutes back to the suburbs. Tomorrow is Tuesday. Monday is over. The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different inland, in Jamrock and the GRIH. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Me too. but I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
Rigorous self-critique. Here it is. Hard facts from the man you are. You once jerked off in the locker room and were caught. You held a young woman by the arm and kept her in your apartment for 20 minutes against her will. That's right. These are not flights of fancy. These are real deeds, Harry, emerging from the darkness of your past. You tried shooting a fleeing suspect in the foot, but hit him in the pelvis, crippling him for life. And, above all, you let life defeat you. All the gifts your parents gave you, all the love and patience of your friends, you drowned in a neurotoxin. You let misery win, and it will keep on winning till you die, or overcome it. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful. The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep doesn't come. And then sleep doesn't come. Obviously, You're in bed with your eyes closed, but it's not happening. Maybe it's the bed's fault. It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve the case, isn't it? Something to do with, what was it that the lieutenant said? Union? And it's gone again. Your thoughts lost between the slowing brain waves. Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start forming.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood? You're not kidding anyone, Harry. You don't remember shit. Tell me, do you remember your wife's hand on your face? You know who I am. I'm the bad day. The one where you ask her, and then later in the streets wandering. It's the worst day of all time, Harry dear. And it's coming. She will hear about it on the phone. Reality will turn into a grotesque nightmare. This will be the last thing you did to her. Tell me, do you remember the love of your life? That's right, funky baby. And you just stood there. One hand on the bottle, and the other on your dick. Watching her go. Let it all be dragged away from you. Tell me, where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where the hell are yours? No, it's gone. 3 times gone, and never coming back. You failed. You failed me. You failed Elysium. Everything. The Pale and the Isolas on the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people, and you failed every single one of them. No, you haven't. You're just sleep-talking, and the act is wearing thin, too. The spots on the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time. Sweating up the bed. Stinky boy. You're not coming back from shit. Thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours, bumping into things and acting like a clown. Who are you kidding? You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover. Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too. So soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork. Barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on, Harry. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy. Oh, just a dream. You have ones like that all the time. You feel even worse this morning than you did last night. You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think. It's just that your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. You're too weak to say no now. Waking up is the worst part. Maybe somewhere down the line you could decline. Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks. Maybe 3. You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You will be fired. Suit yourself, slow, sad shell man. See how you do without your spark.